All right, good afternoon. This is Sadie Phelps from Assumption High School. I'll start by saying that if you have any questions, please feel free to email me or contact me. I should have some contact information, I think, on the LATA webpage. I'm going to talk today a little bit about the poultry judging competition, and I'm going to kind of just quickly go through the scorecard and make sure that we have everything we need and everybody's pretty clear, because I've had a few questions and state office is telling me they have a few questions. So right now I'm going to switch screens and go to my desktop so you can see what's going on. Like most of the competitions, the scorecard is going to look pretty similar as far as your team and your code. Your last name, first name. Your team number is going to be your chapter number, the last 4 digits of your chapter number. And just remember, if you're, for instance, Assumption High Schools is 138, so we have to bubble in 0138 for our chapter number. If your chapter number would be 10, you'd have to bubble in 0010. And then your code is going to be whether it's blue or gold. And Kay, correct me if I'm wrong, 1 is blue and 2 is gold.
And make sure you fill in 01 for blue, 02 for gold. And know that if you fail to bubble in your correct team ID number or your code number, your card will not be scored.
All right. And so I'm going to look at Carcass and part grading. The first thing you can do is not concern yourself with parts grading. We are not going to put any parts on this. This is basically ready to cook. It's going to be just carcasses, and the biggest difference is going to be this no grade column right here. They will actually be a no grade now. We typically grade A, B, or C, but we will also include the possibility of having a no grade. And if you have the poultry manual, which I did pull up right here, this is one of the pages on the poultry manual. And it talks about the different things, what could possibly make it, okay, A, B, or C quality. And if you come down in here, it will tell you notes, carcasses or parts not meeting specifications for C quality are designated NG or non-gradable. Okay, and what are some of the things that it talks about, like in here, when you talk about no more than 1/3 of the flesh exposed of parts or each individual part, right here, this provided meat yield not appreciably affected. And when I asked nationals what they mean by meat yield not appreciably affected, it could make it a no grade if you have about a silver dollar size chunk of meat missing from the carcass. That's appreciable meat yield. That actually affects it, and it will make it a no grade. And then right here, if you look on discoloration, discoloration is another one. Down here it says 3, if such areas do not render any part of the carcass unfit for food. So basically, if the whole bird would be discolored and bruised in flesh, that could make it a no grade. So you just kind of got to read through this, and there's basically, if you're missing enough meat, it can make it a no grade, or if the bird is discolored enough, like more than half, like just basically the whole bird, that will make it a no grade if it's unfit to eat. Those are the only 2 problems you would see with a no grade. But this stuff comes from the manual that's put out by National FFA, and I had gotten a copy of it here. So this is the things that you might would want to look at to see. But basically your A, B, or C carcass is going to be basically the same as it was in the past. All right, I'll bring the scorecard back up. The next thing you look at, placing classes. Right here on ours it says broilers, hens, and RTC. So we are not going to have broilers, we are going to have hens. We will have 2 hen classes, and reasons will be on the 2 hens classes. My area competition will only have 1 hen class of reasons, but state will probably have 2. And RTC, which is a ready to cook placing class. And a ready to cook placing class is basically you're going to have the same quality grades that you would have for carcass and part grading. And it's going to be used, it can be either broiler or turkeys, but we've already decided for state contest we're going to use broilers. and give them a placing value. So for instance, if you have an A carcass, it would be first place. If B carcass, it would be second, C on down the line. If you happen to have two carcasses of the same quality grade, the breast size and conformation is what's going to make one place over the other. So if I have two A carcasses and carcass number 1 is A and carcass number 2 is A, but carcass number 2 has bigger breast, then it will be first comparative to carcass number 1. So that's how ready to cook. It's kind of straightforward if you ask me. That's going to be your ready to cook placing class. Interior eggs, nothing's really changed. AA, A, B are lost. You're going to have just 10 of those. Usually we have 20 on the state level. We'll only have 10. Again, I said the reasons is going to be on hens. Next, you're going to have exterior egg quality, and you're going to have your written factors, okay? So I took this little box and I made a little check sheet. Let me find and pull up my picture. All right. I did this at the area camps when we went over everything. So hopefully you can kind of see this. Basically, no grade is going to be considered dirty or non-gradable because a checked, a dented checked, or a leaker is going to make it a non-grade. So it would not just be dirty, it would be a non-grade. But if it's dirty or it's got a slight stain, those are going to be still, a prominent stain, those are going to still be considered a non-grade. But if you look up in column 4 right here, a slight stain would actually be a B. And then 7 through 11 on the written factors, decidedly misshapen, large calcium deposits, body checks, pronounced ridges, those all downgraded to a B. And then obviously you have no defect as an A. So I thought this was kind of straightforward. I had some questions with this. You are going to check all written factors that apply. So you could potentially have a dented and checked, which would obviously still make it a no grade, but you could still have dirt on it, or it could still be decidedly misshapen, or it could have a large calcium deposit. You would need to mark all of those. So if egg 1 was dented and checked, you would bubble in dented and checked. Then you would come in, if it had a large calcium deposit, you would also mark a large calcium deposit. I don't see us using, I don't think any more than 3 per egg, but don't hold me quite to that. But I know it's issued on points, and I know each egg is going to be worth 5 points apiece. So much for the quality grade, and then so much for the written factors. And that's why I think it's only like 3 points would be issued for that. And if a couple of people had questions about the differences between like a slight stain versus a prominent stain, I think I had pulled up. No, that wasn't my right one. Let me see. I had a picture here. This was national contest, and I don't know if you can see this right here. This is considered a slight stain. This was at the national contest we just participated in 2018, and this egg right here, this part right here, they considered that enough to be a slight stain, and they made it a B. Okay. So this is not, and again, it's no raised material, like there's nothing raised off of the egg. It's flush with the egg. There's no dirt on it. It's just a slight stain, and that's going to make it a B. And this is what they call this egg here. And to give you an example here, I think you can see pretty good. We have some body checks in here. So if this particular egg, and you can see where it says it's dirty, there's dirt right here at the front, but all along here it has a body check. So on this egg, you would mark body check, and then you would mark dirty, and then it would be considered a no grade. That's what you would mark at the top. And tell your students to be sure, I'll pull this back up. If there is no defect and it is an A quality egg, they have to bubble in no defect at the bottom. They won't get credit for it if they don't mark both of them. So it has to be marked no defect, and it has to be marked AA. And then somebody asked me a question about how you mark things like decidedly misshapen. I'll pull up the rule. Let's see, where is it? Here, summary for qualifications. It talks about, you need to read through this, eggshell shape abnormalities associated with ridges, calcium deposits, rough surfaces and bulges caused by body checks, thin spots, or cracks should not be designated as decidedly misshapen. So, you know, if you have a thin spot that causes the egg to look a little misshapen, it's considered a thin spot. It's not considered decidedly misshapen. Or if you have a bunch of ridges across an egg, and I'm pretty sure y'all have seen them. I think I had one from Nationals. I don't, or this PowerPoint I think has one. Yeah, see this right here, all of the ridges in the middle kind of make it look a little misshapen, but it's still ridges. So it's going to be a B. Yeah. It's going to be a B quality egg. And then body checks should not be designated as having pronounced thin spots or for being decidedly misshapen when resulting from or caused by the body check. So they had an egg at Nationals that had some body checks. I'm going to pull this one back up. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. This, if you look, it kind of looks bumpy on this side, or like where it has more of a bulge because of the body check. You wouldn't consider it decidedly misshapen because it's the body ridges that's causing the problems. So just to kind of give you an FYI on what that's going to look like. So this is going to be our written factors with our egg qualities. Then on the back, we will have identification of carcass parts, which is going to be same parts we've always had, 1 through 10 parts, 5 points apiece. We will not have a written exam, and you will not have to worry about any further processed or bone-in further processed. Those things will not be on our state test or at our state CDE. Let me see if anybody has any questions at this time. Let's see. That's it. I don't know how to turn it off. Oh, there it is. All right. If anybody has any questions, that's all I have right now. I think I've kind of covered everything pretty quick, but I figured since we were recording it, they can rewind and play back or anything that they needed to do. Kay, do you have any questions?
I don't, Sadie. I think you covered it pretty thoroughly. So if anyone has questions, just email Sadie.
Absolutely.
Or email us on the directory if you can't find it. If you can't get in touch with her, email us here or call us at the office, and we'll get you in touch and get any of your questions answered.
Yep. I think I've sent enough emails. They're bound to search it and find me somewhere. But yeah, you can email me or call me. I'll gladly answer any questions I can to help you out. So that's what I got.
Thank you, Sadie.
All right. Thank you, Kate.